Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we're taking a look at the Kizer Harpoon. This is going to be my full review, and I've got to say right off the bat that this was a knife that I've been pretty excited about, and you know what, now that I've got it and been able to spend a little bit of time with it, I am not the least bit disappointed. This is a very, very cool little fixed blade. This is a Maverick Customs design, and actually I think you'll find the maker's mark right there. All right, sorry about the lighting, guys. I'm outside. I feel like it's too beautiful to not be outside, but the sun is moving around on me just a little bit. So if the lighting changes a bit, you'll have to bear with me. Anyway, this was a design I became aware of actually a couple of years ago. Maverick Customs has been doing this particular knife design for some time, and it's a really, really good one. I have been attracted to this design and been interested in getting one for a while. So I was following Maverick Customs, and as I say, yeah, a couple of years ago, they made the announcement that they would be doing this collaboration with Kizer, where they'd be doing a fixed blade. There wasn't a lot out there. Now, sort of the first time I got to hold this knife in hand was at Blade Show 2019, and I was pretty impressed at that point with just how nicely it fit in hand. And of course, you can kind of see by the design itself that it's a pretty well balanced design, and by, you know, their own description, it's designed to be a bit of a combination piece between, you know, an EDC fixed blade and an outdoor use fixed blade. And so they've done some things that I think balance those two needs out pretty stinking well. And so let's go ahead and start with size and weight, which I think is one of the ways they've actually done a really, really good job here. This guy is 7 3/4 inches almost. It's a little more than 11/16, but a little less than 7 3/4. The blade length for a knife that size is very impressive. So blade on this guy is 3 7/8 inches. 3 3/4 on the handle, really almost 13/16, so a little more than that 3 3/4. The grip area is not huge, so you can see there's sort of this angle right here, and that means you only get about 3.5 inches, which for me is plenty. I wear a size large glove, but if you had hands much, much bigger than mine, it might be a little too small in the handle for you. All right. But you know, for me, it actually works quite well. And I think for most people, this is going to be absolutely fine. The knife alone weighs 4.2 ounces. When you add the sheath together with that, it gets up to 5.9 ounces. And the overall length, which we haven't touched on yet with the sheath, is going to be 8 1/8 inches. So, the only reason I bring that up is because I have on a couple of occasions carried this just in my pocket, you know, front right hip or back pocket, with the handle sort of coming out that way. And it actually works pretty well that way, although it's not ideal. I'm definitely going to recommend you carry this with a belt. And that's what I've done the vast majority of the time. All right, so now that we've got the size out of the way, let's carry on with a little bit of discussion about this blade. So what we have here is 1095 steel. Hold on, it's not focusing the way I want it to. Come on, there we go. So we've got 1095, very high flat grind. Actually, it's a full flat grind, really. There's a bit of a swedge on top here, nice clip point, a little bit of a swale for your thumb. Fairly reasonable blade stock, right around 1/8 of an inch, which actually makes this an overall reasonably thin blade. So normally I don't say this, but this is actually an EDC fixed blade that you could use around the kitchen a little bit. Now it's 1095 steel, so maybe not the perfect choice for that, but it'll definitely get the job done. The coating here is pretty fine. It doesn't add a lot of traction to, you know, when you're cutting through material. Sometimes a really, really textured coating, you can be concerned that it's gonna, you know, kind of bind up in what you're cutting, but that has not been the case, at least for me. And you can see it's also held up really, really well. Actually, yeah, you can see a couple little marks down here at the base. I don't know if the light's letting you see that very well, but that's just from, some light batoning and stuff, but it's very, very minor. So I've been really, really happy with how this coating has held up. And in terms of, the utility on this blade, yeah, it just works really, really well. You can do food prep stuff, you can do EDC stuff, opening packages, cutting cardboard, that kind of stuff, or you can even do a little bit of outdoor stuff. Now, the blade probably leans a little more toward the EDC side of things, but frankly, that's, to me, that's not a huge problem. I do have, yeah, I do, there we go, a little stick a little bit off to the side here, and I can show you. So this is just an old stick I kind of picked up on the way in here, but the blade, you can see, is thin enough behind the edge that I can do a decent job with, say, a feather stick. Now, is this going to be as good as, a Scandi ground, full-on bushcrafting type knife? No, but remember, those Scandi ground bushcrafting type knives are not going to do very well for basically most other cutting tasks, where this is going to do really well in a lot of different roles. And I've talked about this many times on the channel, but what I really enjoy about, or one of the things I really enjoy about a knife, is versatility. So I love the fact that I can use this in the kitchen, or I can use it on the trail, or I can use it, at the office. Doesn't really matter where I am. There's some practical functionality to this blade, and that to me is a win. All right, so yeah, blade I'm quite happy with, and the 1095 has held up really well. Of course, it is coated, so rust is going to be less of an issue if you don't do anything. Now, I carry and use this blade pretty frequently, but if you're going to take this blade and, I don't know, use it once every few months when you're out on a trail or something like that, you probably want to put some oil on it, because of course the edge and even the places where they've removed some of the coating, like where they've done the writing on it and stuff, will develop some rust. Using it all the time is the best way to keep that from happening. 1095, of course, is going to perform quite well, very tough steel. You will have to sharpen it from time to time, perhaps a little more often than other options, but that's, that's typical of carbon steels. All right, so having gotten that blade discussion out of the way, let's go and talk a little bit about this handle. I've got to say off the bat, it's really, really attractive. Beautiful layered micarta, so nice, and it does feel really good in hand, especially in sort of the saber grip. Now, it's not a huge handle, which means if you start going into hammer grip and stuff like that, you get a little bit of movement here. It's better than a lot of the knives that I've had. I've had some stuff with really small handles, and that's not this. All right, there's definitely enough material here that you can get some work done, and I will say that I appreciate that quite a lot. Talked about the fact that it might be a little short for some people. It does have Torx construction and a lanyard hole if you like that. I know a lot of people who do outdoor stuff really like to throw a lanyard on their knife, and there is, there's some good practical value to that, especially if you're doing something where you could drop it in a place where it's going to be hard to retrieve. So I get that for sure. Not really much more to say about the handle. Overall, I'm just very happy with it. So yeah, blade is good, handle is good. Let's talk a bit about the sheath. There's a lot to like about this, and there are a couple little things I'm not totally in love with, but overall, again, very good. Remember, the price point on this is not super high. So let's first point out that it has very nice retention. So there's a little bit of wiggle here. You won't be able to hear it, I guess, but there is a little bit of movement, but not that much. The retention, though, is very good. And for me, that's the key thing. This is set up for scout carry or kidney carry. I will say this. I carried this scout carry a bit, and I found, just the way it landed on me, the blade kind of canted out. And because there's a little bit of looseness in these straps, the blade kind of falls this way. So when you're carrying it, it's going to carry this way and a little bit out off your back. And for me, that was a problem, because I'd hooked this handle on a couple of things as I was, getting in and out of a car or walking past some trees or something. I'd hook the handle on something, and it would, these are just snaps, so they can come off. And so it would pop those snaps open. That became a little bit frustrating. All right. Now, the one complaint I will say about these straps, in kidney carry, it was very good. Now, these straps have held up really well, But this faux leather material does make me a little bit nervous because I'm afraid over time, especially if you're not, if you're using this all the time and they're getting a little bit of flex, they probably will be okay. One, if it's exposed to a lot of sun, we know plasticky stuff doesn't usually hold up well to sun. And two, if you leave it laying for too long, I could see this getting brittle and cracking. We've all had faux leather stuff that does that. I would almost like to see nylon straps on here. Frankly, for the price, and I know that was one of the ways they were cutting the cost on this, which is completely understandable because it is, about a $50 knife, which is very affordable. But I do have those couple of fears about the straps. Probably not going to be an issue, but it's just something that, I felt like I needed to share with you as we were kind of working our way through here. Again, scout carry didn't work for me. Kidney carry was perfect. I had absolutely no issue. Kidney carry was very comfortable. I did it a lot, and that's now after I kind of worked through. You guys know how it goes. You try different things and you find what's the most comfortable. For me, I always now just carry this knife in a kidney carry position, sort of on my left side for a cross draw. All right, so let's go ahead now and get to some comparisons. I don't have a lot of great comparisons just because, frankly, there are not that many really good EDC fixed blades at this price point. Okay. I think Becker, there's a couple of BK, like the BK14 or something, is probably around this size. Not going to be as nicely finished, not going to be as comfortable in hand. There just aren't that many options out there. So most of the stuff I've got here is going to cost a little bit more. Let's see what I've got for you. So here is the QSP worker, micarta handle as well, N690 on the blade. Okay, but you can see fairly similar in size, fairly similar in functionality. Of course, you guys are well aware that I've had the Kizer T2 on this channel and just demonstrated it a number of times. Again, a little more expensive, actually quite a bit more expensive, different materials, but fairly capable EDC fixed blade. The sheath on this is not as good. The retention is not as good. And essentially, what you have in the Kizer T2 is a Kydex sheath that you have to treat like a leather sheath. It just doesn't have great retention. What else have we got here? I guess I should throw a Mora in just because everyone's familiar with Mora. This is going to be, not ideal for EDC, not as versatile. That's the big difference here. So the Scandi round blade is great for bushcrafting, outdoor type of stuff. It's not going to be as versatile as the flat ground blade on the Kizer. Of course, the price point is very attractive on Moras. And let's grab a couple of other decent EDC fixed blade options. Here's the Jarls Globetrotter, Kydex sheath, different sheath setup for this. This was what I requested from the maker. Of course, this wouldn't be complete fixed blade comparison without bringing my favorite fixed blade in. Here is the Lion Steel M4. Still loving this knife as much as ever. And I guess to throw in something that is really high-end and impressive, we'll put the Nyala in there as well. Obviously not a competitive knife at all, really not even comparable very much, but I just like that knife a lot, so I figured I'd throw it in for a second. Okay. Overall, guys, I've mentioned a couple little hiccups on this. Maybe it's a little small for some people, but overall, I've got to say this is a huge win. It carries well, it works well, it's really, really nicely done. So I think Kizer has done a great job of implementing this. And of course, the big winner here, or the most impressive thing, is just this design. So Maverick Customs deserves a lot of credit because he's really struck nearly a perfect balance here in terms of being able to have a knife that you can carry, that you can use, that's comfortable in hand, that gives you a ton of blade in a fairly small package. Overall, huge, huge win. I could not possibly recommend this knife more. If you're someone who's a little hesitant about an EDC fixed blade because of the inconvenience, this is one, it's affordable. So if you don't like it, it's not like you're totally stuck having spent huge dollars and now not with a knife you don't like. but two, it's very convenient. So I feel like if you're going to try it out with one of the knives that's easiest to manage in terms of just the convenience of carry. And this really, really works that way as well. So there's my overall take on the Kizer Harpoon. Absolutely great knife. I love this thing. It's on my short list of favorite EDC fixed blades. I carry this thing a ton. And yeah, I'm totally happy with it. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to use the links down in the description box. That does help the channel as well as helps you, because there's a discount code there, so you save a little bit of money too. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.